Where do you see the future for intelligence in America?
We need a top-to-bottom counterintelligence review, in my opinion. I think we're really at a dangerous level right now in terms of foreign collection focused against us.
Simone Ledeen is an accomplished senior executive and advisor, managing director of Vantage ROI, and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense. She has driven growth and strategic advantage for U.S. national security, overseeing defense relations across 14 countries, and leading initiatives in counterterrorism, cybersecurity, and emerging technologies.
We're looking at some major problems. You know, Syria also is blowing up in many ways.
Yeah, the world seems to be getting a little bit more unsafe. We got the humanoid robots now.
Yes.
And the one that's leading is Chinese.
No, we can't have them here. I agree with you.
No.
A lot of people don't realize how things have been allowed to metastasize the last 4 years and how kind of dire things are today.
You're saying ISIS is back in a big way.
Yeah, I am.
Welcome. Simone, how do you say your last name?
Ledeen.
Ledeen. I didn't want to mispronounce that.
Thank you.
Okay, why don't you give the audience who, the audience is like my mom and dad listen to this and stuff, so they don't know you. So I want to give like the backstory. Let's start there. How'd you get into this?
Well, mom and dad, I got into this. Sort of unplanned. So, I guess my story, for our purposes today, starts on September 11th, 2001. I was in my 20s, headed to business school, and one of my mother's best friends was on the plane that hit the Pentagon.
Oh, wow.
And it just changed the trajectory of my life. I ended up still going to business school, but with a different goal in mind. And my goal after that was, I figured someone would be tracking terrorist money, so I would learn how money moves internationally and then use that for government service.
Nice. Okay. So like, what was your first job in government then?
I went to Iraq.
Okay.
I was part of the
military or no?
No, okay. No. I never served in the military. I was a civilian, a government civilian, DOD and Treasury. And I ended up deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan several times, but as a civilian.
Okay.
So yeah, I got to Iraq in 2003. I mean, early days. And the DOD had an emergency hiring authority at the time for temporary, civilians to go and help. They told me they just needed my Excel spreadsheet skills. And I had just finished my MBA, and I was like, oh, I know how to do that.
Yeah. The first question is, why did you have to do that overseas, though? Why can't you be remote? Like, why did you have to be out there? What did they want for that?
I don't think it was really planned well, to say the least. It was super chaotic. The concept was they were getting ready for a donors conference. So there was a donors conference in late 2003 in Madrid, where at the time, and it's hard for people today to kind of understand what was going on then, but it was viewed initially, the Iraq War was viewed as a coalition effort, and there were many countries involved, and there was what people naively thought would be, the war part, which would end quickly, and all the Iraqis would love us and be super grateful, and then we would help them to rebuild. And so this donors conference in Madrid was meant to kind of do that. And so what we were doing was compiling different projects, like the Ministry of X needs this, the Ministry of Y needs this. So we had these massive spreadsheets just detailing, like, who wants to donate money to build this? Who wants to donate money to build that? That was basically what it was. Why did we need to be there for that? I don't know. I can't answer that.
It's okay.
But the fact that we were out there definitely made it easier, because we transitioned quickly to a wartime situation, and we ended up doing lots of other things.
Yeah. Okay. So that was like early 2000s?
2003, 2004. That was my Iraq deployment.
Okay. Then what happened next?
Man. Well, I came back, and obviously the war was still going on. A lot of my teammates were still there, still in danger. And there was a need at the Pentagon at the time to justify, basically not to justify, but to respond to congressional inquiries, because the Congress was a different political party than the president. And so they were like very angry about everything that was going on. And I basically ended up just responding to congressional inquiries, which led me to volunteer to go to Afghanistan, because I was like, anything is better than this.
Yeah.
And so I went to Afghanistan in early 2005 for most of that year.
Okay. And then when did you took a job in the administration then at some point?
Yeah. So, I mean, I served in government until 2014.
Okay.
When I resigned, and I'm happy to talk about all the different stuff I did during that time. But I resigned from government. I left.
2014. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And then
when you resigned, what was the title, just for the audience?
I was a senior intelligence advisor at the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Cool.
When I left, I worked in the private sector after that for a few years at a bank doing financial crime compliance. And then I had the opportunity to come back into government in the first Trump administration. And I mean, when I left in 2014, I had no intention of ever going back in. Like, I didn't keep my clearance. I watched them cut my badge, and I was like, free at last, you know.
But you did go back.
But I did go back. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Why?
It was, it was a really unexpected opportunity, but the opportunity at the time was to go back to the office, the counterterrorism office, where that was my first job in the Pentagon, to lead that. And during a time when, there were a lot of consequential things happening, I supported President Trump's positions on, leaving Iraq, leaving Afghanistan, not the way we left Afghanistan, but in general, what are we doing there? What are our goals? I supported all that.
Yeah.
And so the opportunity to kind of be part of that and be part of that team moving things forward was exciting to me. So I did that. And
then you came back. What's the job? What was the title of that job?
It was principal director, and then later acting deputy assistant secretary for special operations and combating terrorism.
Sounds pretty badass.
It was I got to work with seriously badass people.
Yeah.
And it was really a blessing in my life.
Is a lot of it following the money? Like, is that what you do for counterterrorism?
A lot of what I did in the early part of my career was that.
Okay.
Yes.
In the later part, when you're at the high level, when you're at the big seat, like, what's a lot of management of the teams?
I mean, it was more policy.
Yeah.
And obviously I went, before I got out in 2014, I went into the intelligence community. Mm-hmm. And I was doing follow the money until, at a certain point, I think a lot of people find this in their careers where you start in kind of a niche area, and then as you grow and advance, you become more of a generalist in some cases. And that was definitely the case for me. So I became a generalist, like intelligence analyst, and then I came back in as a policy person. So.
What do you see as like the key, like most important things for the intelligence agencies to be working on now? Like highly, where they should be investing, like in new technologies, new surveillance stuff. Like, where do you see the future for intelligence in America?
Well, I think there's sort of two tracks. Number one, we need a top to bottom counterintelligence review, in my opinion. I think we are really at a dangerous level right now in terms of foreign collection focused against us, and how we've been addressing that. So I hope the new administration is prioritizing that. And then, a lot of our collection tools are well known, and a lot of our TTPs, our tactics, techniques, and procedures are well known. And there's certain things that still work and will always work, like on the human level.
Yeah.
But in terms of technology, yeah, it's new tech is at really the forefront of how we're going to win and how we're going to get the edge on our adversaries.
So do you think that you're our first like real intelligence person on the podcast, so I'm really happy that you're here. So do you think the NSA makes Signal in the app or what?
That's funny. And I have no idea. No one's told me.
Okay, that's a great answer.
No one's told me. I assume everything on my phone is, accessible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, me too. You have to. I feel like you got to.
Yeah.
Got to be paranoid.
Yes. You must be paranoid.
So wait, I haven't checked in a while. Is the Patriot Act still in effect, right?
Yes.
Okay. We still, the FISA courts and stuff, we still do all that?
Yes.
Where's your stance on all that?
I think we have to do it. I'm not totally comfortable with it as a citizen, but having seen the other side of it, I know what we'd be missing if we didn't have it, and the threat environment is so crazy right now. That's not BS. That's not an excuse.
But how does it work? Like, can I just, if I were like at the NSA, can I just search like Stephen Simone plus Allah? Like, if I just make an excuse that I'm like attached to terrorism, you can look at any citizen, right?
That's not supposed to be the case.
Okay.
And
it's not supposed to be the case.
Correct.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be the case. And there were a lot of checks and balances that were built in initially. And I think we've seen some indication that they're not adhered to, which is the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to have this authority, make sure the checks and balances are there.
It's one of those great power, great responsibility things.
Yes.
And I feel like potentially you could maybe abuse it. I don't really know a lot about it, to be clear. I'm coming at this like totally.
You can absolutely abuse it. I guess I would say there's also a difference between looking at your phone records and in terms of like what are your, like, creating a huge link chart out of your, who you call, who you text, etc. And then going one level deeper, listening to your calls, reading your text. So there also is a difference between, you can do a link chart of someone.
They can do that on any citizen, or how does that work?
I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm not a lawyer.
I don't know. I assume they do. They can. That's how.
You have to there has to be
some probable cause.
Correct. But, taking a step back and looking at, for example, the way the last administration was very focused on what they called domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
That gave them the authority to say, well, we're looking at, so-and-so for potential domestic terrorism activities. That's legally covered under the same authorities as it would be to look at someone from ISIS.
You really don't hear a lot about this in like the recent new administration change. It wasn't really part of the campaign talking about, like, it used to be. I remember like 10 years ago, it's like when Edward Snowden time, like, this was a very big issue then.
Yeah.
And now you don't really hear about it as much anymore. I've recently noticed, like, no one really seems to care about the Patriot Act or FISA courts or like looking at the citizens' data.
I think
it's out of the zeitgeist, I feel.
I mean, maybe it was recently up for like a new vote, a new approval, and there definitely were. I heard some really loud voices against it, and I mean, I have mixed feelings because it is really intrusive, and the Edward Snowden stuff has been really, unfortunately, dramatically misunderstood, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's not a hero.
Yeah.
He's not a hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, they made the movies on him.
Of course they did.
The hero movies.
Yes, of course they did.
But I guess Trump no one pardoned him, so none of the presidents, I guess, by their actions think he's a hero,
No, because he wasn't. He wasn't.
Well, let's set the record from your perspective. I have no real opinion on it, but set the record straight.
He's a foreign asset.
Is that why he's in Russia?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. If you go back and look at what's publicly available on, how much he stole versus what was released, very tiny things were released and huge things were stolen. For who? For what? That it wasn't for the American people. And I think there's people want a hero out of all this. You know what I mean? We all love a hero and like the man
That's
against
fun.
the machine,
That's fun,
you
yeah.
know. But that's not what this story is about. Yeah.
How does that story end? Do you stay there forever?
I think so. Yeah. Or he falls off a bridge accidentally one day.
Yeah,
Falls out of a building.
Man, I'll tell you, the intelligence people are scary. You guys,
Not ours. By the way,
I'm just a humble gun turret salesman here. I don't do any of this crazy ass shit. I mean, yeah.
I guess like if you look at the history of people who have spied for Russia, like kind of doubles who have spied for Russia, a lot of them end up meeting, you know, terrible accidents. And I don't know if it I think the Russians don't respect people who do that at the end of the day.
Wow. What would you say is like the best like spy thriller or like intelligence movie, like Hollywood dramatization of whatever you guys do is? Like anything. Like rack your brain. Like what I gotta think.
You're putting me on the spot.
I know.
Here.
I'm just trying to think. Like I love like spy movies and stuff.
I mean, I love The Terminalist. It's not a movie, you know, it's a series, but
Is that good?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's super fun. And it starts like season 1 starts with the main protagonist as a counterterrorism finance analyst in CIA.
Okay.
And
The Terminalist.
Yeah, I found that
I'm gonna write that down.
early
That's sweet.
moments of that to be like incredibly realistic, actually, before a helicopter lands at a garden party and picks him up. That I haven't seen that happen that much.
I gotta add this to my notes. I like Homeland.
Oh yeah, Homeland.
That was good. I don't know if it's accurate as a case officer, but it's awesome.
Yeah,
I like that actress.
I think
Danes.
a lot of people love that show.
Yeah. I like that. Claire Danes, and who's the redhead in the first season? The guy. So good.
Yeah.
Damian Lewis.
Damian Lewis.
That guy's great.
He was in what the World War II movie with or the
he was Band of Brothers. He's Band of Brothers. I mean, he's in a lot of good stuff.
So good.
He's also in a great stoner comedy called Your Highness, which I really like, with Danny McBride.
Nice.
Yeah, James Franco, Natalie Portman.
Nice.
Damian Lewis. It's a great movie. No one's seen Your Highness, but I recommend it.
I will check it out. I will check it out. No, he's amazing. I think he does like Shakespeare stuff too. He's really Damian Lewis.
Yeah.
He's really
he's really, really talented.
Yeah.
Great. He's great. Everything I've seen him in, he's awesome. I like movies.
Cool.
I'm a movie guy.
Cool.
Yeah. I want to do media. Like I'm trying to get out of defense at some point, you know.
You should.
Media guy. And do the podcast, you know, do some Hollywood shit.
You know, you should talk to so Terminalist is actually a book, like it's a book series, you know, action adventure books. And the author is a former Navy SEAL who just like I have this vision of, I've met him a couple times, super guy. I have this vision of him like sitting in the mountains in Montana, just like writing, you know, nonstop.
Yeah.
But he's put out this whole series of Terminalist books, which are so cool. But now he's also like transitioned from his prior military career to, you know, entertainment essentially as an author. And I think he's a producer on the Terminalist series. And like Chris Pratt plays the main guy. I mean, that's a huge deal. So I know, and there are a bunch of people from the defense world that have like transitioned. It seems like a lot more fun. This is a lot of work.
I mean, what I'm doing is so much work right now. It's just absolutely insane. I told my co-founder, I was like, you really wanted to build and reinvent the gun and sell it to the U.S. government? Like, that's what you want to do with your life with me? I was like, all right, we'll do it. But like, it's crazy. This is like selling to the U.S. government takes a special set of skills.
Yeah. And patience
and
too.
It takes a lot of money, a lot of capital, because you have to be able to just sit around and wait. And so you have to like raise a ton of money. It's just part of the game. Not many people can do that though.
No.
That's a problem. Like not everyone can be like Palmer Luckey, you know, and start with $1 billion,
right?
Go $1 billion. So if you want to do like a new defense tech, I always tell founders in this, like, you got to have at least like $20 million, or else it's just not happening because you'll just die on the vine. Yeah.
What do you think about commercial use cases for stuff? Do you think it's not worth it?
I think the dual use is pretty much like a lot of it's cope, as the kids say. Like, I make a weapon of war, so it's not dual use. Like, I tell them when they ask if I have dual use applications, I'm like, yeah, like Chinese and Russians, like, it's my dual use, you know? That's what I tell them on the calls when I sell it.
I love that.
So that's whatever, bro. But, like, I think, like, dual use, the history of it obviously makes sense. Like what chlorine is like a gas weapon, and like for pools, like it's good. Yeah, it's a dual use. Like there's a history of dual use. And I think the government likes, you tell me, I have a theory on this. Tell me if this is wrong. I think government likes dual use companies because then they don't feel bad if they pull a contract, because then you're still to stay in business with your other commercial business line. So it's like an emotional thing.
Government doesn't give a shit if they pull a contract. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, no, but no, what I mean is like, they don't like care like about you or the business. They like, there is like some sort of remorse of like, because what happens is they'll string you along for 9 months. And if they can tell themselves like, oh no, they're fine, they got this other business line, they don't like, it's like helpful for them. They like that. That's my theory. It's not like they really like truly care, but it's like a nice thing. Like, oh, I don't feel so bad, I just put this business out of business. Yeah,
it's one of those things. Makes sense. Maybe they also just like to see it, in action, being used for other stuff. Then it's like that's validating in and of itself.
Well, the thing like for drones though, since I guess this is a drone podcast, we can talk drones for a moment. I don't always talk drones on the drone podcast, but like you want the commercial use case, but that's already been won by China. So now they're trying to use Replicator. Have you heard of this initiative?
Yeah, of course. So
like Replicator, let's talk about Replicator. I'll tell you my beef with it. Replicator is meant to like spend a bunch of money on drones, but like compared to the consumer drone market, it's a drop in the bucket. And our drones are super expensive. So like we're not really like building toward like any sort of capability of manufacturing swarms of cheap drones. We're like buying between $10,000 and $80,000 systems, and when we want to be buying like $1,000, but we have no commercial market. So there's no like, we missed a whole dual use case.
Yep.
And now we have like Replicator, which if you look at the overall spend of Replicator to the overall spend of the consumer worldwide drone market, it's just not even comparable.
No,
so
I agree.
I'm not really certain about the plan exactly for how we like actually get back into the drone game.
Oh, I was hoping I would learn that from you today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was hoping to learn from you. No, I think that I was talking about this yesterday actually at our Austin for America event on stage. I think it starts with like the requirements writers in the government like really saying, hey, no, we actually do want really cheap, shitty drones, but like we have a hard time doing that. Like we don't, like we get into the room and we're like, no, we should actually make a really sweet drone, and then it becomes 20 to 30 grand all of a sudden. But like we really need like to be like, no, we want to have like the DJI Mavic.
Yeah.
$1 grand. But I don't know if we're going to do that. That's what we need. It starts at the top,
I mean, we've ceded that entire market to China.
Yeah.
And I mean, what an amazing collection platform for them. That is.
I know.
Amazing.
My other plan would be to just ally with them, or to just be like, we're friends now. We could go like US and China versus the rest of the world. Just become peace. Peace, guys.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
China has a say in that too, and I don't think that.
Why couldn't we just be like tight together, and then like go?
I mean, that would be nice.
I mean, look, I'm not a I'm not an expert in any of this. I just think it'd be cool. Like, okay, it's our ally now. That's our ally.
I mean, look at Vietnam. We were at war with Vietnam, and now we have so many ties to Vietnam, and I think by the end of this administration, we could have some kind of like mill-to-mill agreements, sales, that kind of Vietnam.
Vietnam, yeah.
So it's possible, but how many years have passed since the war? Yeah. I mean,
that's true. Okay,
it takes time.
So you think like diplomacy, like you don't think we're gonna become like really better trade partners with China over time? Like where do you think it's trending? I guess the relationship.
I would love if we could be.
Yeah, me too. I mean, who doesn't?
Right now we're in a trade war with them. So it's basically a Cold War. We're in a Cold War with China.
Well, they would say that we're addicted to Cold Wars. They would say why? They would be like, we're not in a Cold War. America just loves Cold Wars.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I don't know if that's true.
They're sure. I mean, I don't know where to go with that.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is just like, do we like always we always want to be on top with in terms of capability and deterrence and like, overmatch is what they call it.
Yeah.
And so like they would say, yeah, these guys, this is just like their culture. They're always trying to do overmatch. Like what's up with these guys? Why are they doing this all the time?
Because peace through strength.
Yeah.
That's why they leave us alone if we're.
It's like a prisoner's dilemma or whatever they call it, because like they have to now do it too.
Yeah.
I remember just doing it.
Yeah, arms race. Except
it's good for business, I guess.
It's great for business, but in the drone business, I mean, you raise a really important question, which is like, how do we engage? If we're only focused on these super high-end drones, which is where we have been, we miss this entire other story. And
it's true.
And that's what's happening. These small, like these quadcopters you can get from anywhere. I mean, that's what's scary. That's what we should all be concerned about in the future, by the way. Not the next gen Preds, that are.
And DJI was an entrepreneur who like lived here for a little bit. He was from I don't know if he's from Shenzhen. I forget which city he did school in, but I think it might have been Shenzhen. But that's where the company is. But he was an entrepreneur. His name's like Frank Zhang. I think it's Zhang. Yeah. And he was just like in his dorm room building DJI, 2001. And he took the U.S. investment community is what invested in him.
Yep.
So,
important to say that at every turn.
The venture capitalists of the U.S. invested in him.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not trying to blow up the VCs. They know who they are. I've talked to them about it. It was a great investment, though. They made a lot of money. And then they since have divested, obviously.
Yep. Yep.
But like then...
But the Defense Department knows who they are.
Yeah, of course.
And,
we all know who they are.
Yeah. But I'm just saying.
I've been in the room with them, pitched them before. They passed on me. I know. I went in. Okay, this is actually a really good story.
Okay.
This is the deep cuts for the listeners. I went in and pitched the firm in question, and I go, all right, guys, this is your redemption arc. I have the thing that kills these drones with bullets. I'll shoot them all down. So you come in and invest in me, and that's great for your story because you obviously propped up this company, DJI.
I like it. And they still passed.
No, yeah, but like they're friends of mine. I mean, I like them. Like they passed because of, any number of reasons people pass an idea. Like I get hundreds of no's.
Yeah.
But we ended up raising like another $30 million from another investor. But it's just part. You never know why they could pass. VCs pass because like their kids' soccer games that night.
Definitely.
And then it's like we're thinking about that when they didn't even hear the pitch.
I've advised a couple of VCs. I'm kind of out of that game now, but but I have in the past, and I've seen exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, they call me to like whenever they're like set. I help some of my VC friends. I've known these guys for like a decade now, so they bring me in when they're trying to close a founder who has multiple term sheets, and they're like, Steve, talk to this founder and hype us. So I was like, all right, they put me in. I call the founder, and I'm like, yeah, you got to go with this firm. They're my favorite firm. It's always the same pitch, like super emphatic. Just like, yeah, bro, you have to do this deal. Anyways, it totally works like half the time, but that's my role in the VC ecosystem.
Sounds like a valuable role.
Yeah, I don't get paid for it. It's just for the love of the game.
That's even better.
Yeah, I like deals. Want to get in there.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the DJ. So, like, okay, so back to we propped that up. They did this company, but now I don't know if you see it's happening again. So we got Unitree. We got the humanoid robots now.
Yes.
And the one that's leading is Chinese. It's called Unitree.
Yes.
And they're selling into the American market now. And there's gonna be Chinese robots everywhere. And like our industry. Our consumer humanoid industry is still way like a year or two behind, and the Chinese ones are like 12K, and I think the Tesla ones are going to be more. So like, what are you going to buy? The nice, really elegant Chinese one that's super cheap. So I think we should ban that now.
I agree.
We should ban DJI too, probably right now.
We should have done earlier, I think.
Yeah, we should probably ban both of those, but certainly it might be too late for DJI, but certainly these humanoids. We can't be like putting one of these in every home.
No, we can't have them here. I agree with you.
No, so I don't know what they'll do on that. Again, I'm as a tech provider and a podcast host, I don't influence policy.
But I think, so one of the things that I do is speak to, staff, like congressional staff and members of Congress who are looking for insights into this kind of stuff. And they're constantly looking for like, what can we do? What more can we do? What should we be aware of?
Yeah.
These kinds of things are really useful. And also, by the way, that can make you more interesting to.
Yeah. I have fun doing it.
Yeah.
But it's good to have you on because I think this is actually a particular issue we could educate them on. I don't think they realize the extent to which Unitree is selling into our market right now.
No.
They may not realize the sales reps are aggressive. They're, they're nice and aggressive, but they're like, they're selling this product now.
But they're also...
This product exists, like ready to go, selling it.
And we also have to be mindful of the fact that they're really fine. They're company reps, but they're reps of the Chinese government.
Yeah.
Because there's no like private public division in China. So
yeah, and certainly like they like you could right now like put one of these in your home for $12K, ready to go. If you just went online, right, you could just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's ready. We're in our industry is like probably 2 years away from that.
How many?
3 years.
How many do you think have been sold in the U.S. so far?
It's a really good question. I would probably only say a couple thousand, maybe 10,000.
Who buys those?
I mean, companies like mine would buy some to like put guns on them, and walk around with guns. That's what we're doing, or we want to do. But I decided not to buy them. I was about to buy 3 of them and like do a gun demo.
Can you program them to shoot guns?
Yeah, they have API docs. You can program them. Well, not everyone can program them to do that. It's a very hard control problem. You'd have to be very specialized, like we are. I mean, like that's what we do. Like, put bullets on drones from like robotics.
Right.
We could do it. But anyways, yeah, other people can program to do other stuff though. Like pick your groceries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do the dishes, that kind of stuff. Well, again,
fix your car.
Yeah, the one counter argument to banning it is that I don't know if you've seen the demos of them, but the hands aren't that good.
Yeah.
So like maybe they're not that useful anyway. Like maybe the counterfactual or whatever is, that it's actually not that important because it's still 20 years away from being good.
You think that long?
I don't know. Like it could because like the dexterity of the thumbs and the human hand, and like I don't know if you saw the figure. So figure. It's like the
of course.
Yeah, figure. They did a demo video that had the robots putting away groceries. But if you watch the video carefully, first the human took all the groceries out of the bag. And now the robots are like, because they can't get into the bag and grab. Yeah, so like if you can only do it after a human's interdicted.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Interceded, I don't know what the right word is, but like only after a human's done something, then it's not good.
Right.
You can't fully automate it. This thing's pointless. And so if you watch that video, like I wasn't really impressed.
Yeah, I didn't notice that because I'm not deep in it like you are.
Yeah, I just was thinking like, why did they show that? They should have hidden that. They should have just had the groceries on the table.
Yeah.
They showed them like the human taking the groceries out of the bag. I was like, they totally invalidated themselves on their video.
I wonder why they did that.
I don't know. We should get them on the podcast to rebut this.
Ask them.
Be like, no, Steve actually can do all that. I mean, I want anyone to come on and talk their book.
We just felt that it was more interesting that way. I don't know.
Maybe I'm totally wrong and they can pick out of the bags, but I don't think they can because it would just be too tough for them. I think the dexterity of these things is probably still too far off. Like, either way, we probably still should ban it just to be safe.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't want Chinese robots wandering around.
Yeah. So what's your current gig? What's next? What are you doing?
So what I'm doing now is not working for a big company. One of the things that I was ready to not do was work for the man, work for a big company, kind of be a W-2 guy, which I guess I kind of am. I'm doing consulting now, but it's a totally different construct, and it's really fun. I'm enjoying it. And I do a lot of advisory work. So I'm advising defense tech startups. I also, a lot of my career was in the Middle East. So I spent a lot of time, I do spend a lot of time now kind of giving my opinion on, I don't know if you pay that much attention to kind of current events, but
yeah.
I mean, you don't even really need to be that up on current events. The Middle East is something's always popping off there, unfortunately. So yeah, I just, people pay me to give advice and kind of help them to navigate in the region or here with our government. And that's what I've been doing. And I really enjoy it. I kind of took a step back and looked at, the totality of my career, all the things that I've done, all the things that I know, and asked myself, like, how can I enjoy being part of high performing teams. I don't want to necessarily be the leader, but I kind of enjoy being the critic and or the critical thinker anyway, and being like, okay, but what about this? What about that? And I find myself really happily, luckily in the position to be able to do that and get paid for it. So,
Nice. So you're working with like what kind of clients? Is it like startups or bigger companies or everything?
Yeah, everything. And I also am affiliated with the University of Texas Strauss Center for International Security and Law. So I do some work with students. I do a bunch of writing and media stuff. And
Can you name your clients or is that secret?
No.
Okay, it's all secret. It's all behind the scenes.
yeah,
Are they product companies or are they like they make
Yeah.
products?
Yeah.
Or services?
Products.
Okay.
Primarily products. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And they're companies, many of whom want to sell overseas. So there's a lot to U.S.
Yeah.
partners, obviously.
Yeah.
And there's a lot to navigate there.
There's a lot to navigate. What are some of the high level ITAR restrictions, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, and we partner with a law firm for
All
those
that.
aspects. Yeah, because that's not.
But like your specialty is more on like the business side of it.
Yeah, and relationships.
Yeah.
And understanding kind of what, like from a foreign partner perspective, what they're looking for. Because when you get down to a lot of this very specific defense tech, there were a lot of people building it.
Yeah.
And so it's important to know kind of like who's building what at what price point. I also do a lot of work with Israeli companies. It's a very exciting what's coming out of Israel right now.
Of course.
And a lot of it, most of it is battle tested. And so when you get access because of my relationship, sometimes I can get access to things that other people can't, or I know about things that other people don't. That's also valuable. And from the Israeli perspective, a lot of what they're building is cheaper, which is desirable.
That's what we want right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so you also maybe you work with like some international clients potentially.
Yeah.
And help understand the American market too.
Yes.
Which is a very tough one.
Yes, and there are a lot of naive, like wonderful but naive people out there. I met. I was recently out at IDEX in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
I met a foreign startup that's like, I want to sell to the CIA, and I'm like,
good luck. I always tell people in defense tech that a great product is necessary but not sufficient. That's what I say. So I say to my team, like, a great product is necessary but not sufficient. That's the key to know.
I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff happens because of relationships, for better or worse.
For sure. That's the game. I mean, that's like, isn't that anything though too? I at first I was like, the government should be designed to implement the best products. Like it should cut out that relationship element, like the bureaucracy should. That's like in an ideal world, maybe.
I agree.
But it doesn't. And nothing does, because people and humans are relationship driven creatures. So like any industry is just like this. They're all the same.
You think so?
I think it's all relationships. I think so. Like, people buy from people. Your product has to be great.
Yeah.
But that's, again, not enough. Then you got to have the rest of it. And that's why sales people exist. Or, I mean, really.
I think that's a good
I mean,
point.
if the best products were always just consumed, you would only have to do marketing to let people know about it.
Yeah, that's true.
You wouldn't even have to have sales. But they've been talking about the end of sales reps for 100 years now.
Yeah.
And it never happens.
Yeah.
It never happens.
I mean, I don't know. I don't consider myself in sales. I just consider myself to be a connector.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Because that's sales. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's like helping them with their thing and connecting and doing networking. And yeah.
Is there a non-dirty way to say it?
I don't know. I don't think sales should be a dirty word, personally.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's like sales. It's fine. But people, they don't use sales in government. They like have euphemisms for the names. Like, they'll still call something else. Like,
Yes.
What's the one that I like? Like a strategy officer, like a chief strategy officer.
Yeah.
But that's just like you're in sales,
Yeah.
But like the government buyer wants to, feel like they're being strategically talked to, and we're partnering on it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's absolutely right.
I don't call anyone a sales rep at my company. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're an important strategic part of the. Nothing else will happen if you don't sell. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But like, imagine if I was just selling a commodity product like bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Like you still, and the government buys bullets. They don't call the reps at these companies sales reps. They call them like, strategic bullet consultant.
Do they?
Like they don't call them like sales exec. They call them like account executives. or something.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like the euphemism that because people don't want to hear the word say. It's dirty.
It is kind of a dirty way. I mean, there's a connotation, I guess. It's become dirty, maybe from other industries.
Yeah, I just think it shouldn't be, but I think people should just get over it. It's a trigger word for humans.
I guess so. I guess so.
Okay, so so how do you grow this business more? Like, do podcasts, get the word out? Like, get new clients, or do you even want to grow it more?
Yeah, I mean, we are growing for sure. It was, I kind of feel like the biblical, like we've been through the lean years, which were kind of the Biden years.
Yeah.
Because people wouldn't expect me to be able to help them.
Oh yeah, now you actually have the admin,
but,
Trump. Yeah. So you have more Republican ties.
Now a lot of people are concerned because they don't know, because they've been, hoping Trump didn't come back, candidly, that Trump wouldn't come back. And they didn't spend a lot of time developing
Republican relationships.
Yeah. Developing relationships on that side of things. And, here we are. So we can help. And so it's been,
so the election was good for business.
It's been good.
Yeah. That makes sense. And I guess you have a 4-year window here to really hit it. Because, we don't know what's going to happen the next 4 years. No one knows.
I view everything in 2-year increments because
Congress.
Yeah. That's an important part of the
right now. It's all the stars are aligned. This is like the time. They didn't do a 25 budget though, but 26 they probably will. Probably.
Yeah.
Never know though. I tell my team not really. We planning for the 26 budget. Like we're working on that stuff, lobbying and stuff. But I always tell my team like, look, they might not even do a budget. Can't plan on it. Like we don't like forecast,
right?
We don't just like need that to survive. But I think it'll be fine. I think they will do it this time.
Well,
but you never know. The world's crazy. You never.
You don't know. I mean, although I would anticipate that there would be a budget.
Yeah, with all the stars aligned. Like the executive, both houses, Congress.
I would assume. It might be important to mention that I'm one of my defense consulting company is kind of in a family of companies, which includes a lobbying firm. So we actually do a lot of kind of cross-selling where we can provide different services to the same client.
So you have like lobbying arm, like partner or law partner, and then you're like the business development stuff.
And then I do kind of defense consulting and sales stuff. So yeah.
So you have like the team.
Yes, but we're all separate, different locations. But we sometimes will share a client and
that's fun.
Find additional ways to help the same client.
Do you want to help sell some gun turrets?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's sell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You should come to the range and see it.
I am dying to go.
Okay, we'll get you out there. We'll go out with Laura.
Amazing. I can't wait.
It's sick. Like it really is crazy.
I love it. I cannot wait to see it.
Yeah. Luke, what he invented is really special. It really is. It's just something that no one's really been able to do. It's just wild.
Well, and we need it too. You don't really need to. You show people what you can do. They understand what the tech is, and it sells itself.
Yeah, it sells itself. Maybe. See, now we walked right back into the trap. It doesn't actually. It doesn't sell itself. Great product is necessary but not sufficient. That was great. See, that was perfect. That's actually probably just a perfect place to end it. Any other plugs you want to get out on the pod? Like any announcements you want to make? Are you good?
All my content. I do a lot of writing and a lot of TV. Yeah. I have my own
website. Okay, we'll put all that in the show notes too.
Great.
So you got your website. You got any books coming out or what? Is it blogs mostly?
Yeah, I have a Substack.
Okay. Put that in there too.
But I've only done a couple articles so far focused on my Afghanistan experiences. But I have one that's coming out later today that's going to be about this counterterrorism mess that we're in right now.
Okay. What We'll post that in the notes. But I guess not to steal the thunder of your... Well, this will come out after anyway.
Yeah.
So what's the mess?
Well, just talking about the threat from ISIS, a lot of people don't realize how things have been allowed to metastasize the last 4 years and how kind of dire things are today.
You're saying ISIS is back in a big way.
Yeah, I am. And
where do they mostly reside?
well, their leadership node now is in Somalia.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know
I didn't know that.
And it's been
Wow.
It's been in Somalia for a while now, and in somewhere called the Golis Mountains that are like very hard to reach. And the Biden administration didn't even really bother. Now the Trump administration has started attacking it. It's like the key kind of C2 node for ISIS.
Yeah, okay.
So they need to take that out. They really need to. But one of the things maybe your viewers will be interested to know is ISIS and ISIS-K, but also ISIS Somalia, they're all connected, obviously, virtually.
Yeah.
But they have what I would call like a call center for angry young men that has really been successful in radicalizing a lot of people. And actually, they can now real-time talk to these angry young men.
And recruit them.
Not only recruit them, but talk them through during an operation. And I would point to the New Orleans, the guy who killed a bunch of people in New Orleans over New Year's Eve. He originally I think his plan was to attack. He had some family issues. I think he was planning to kill his family or family members. And real time through this, ISIS call center, they convinced him to attack just regular.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're evolving.
Very much so. Very much so.
The strategy is changing.
Yes. And they're also very successfully recruiting people in the Caucasus, in like the Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, that whole area. Those were the guys that did the Moscow opera attack a couple years ago.
Recruiting hotbed.
It is a recruiting hotbed, and we're looking at some major problems. Syria also is blowing up in many ways, and
the world seems to be getting a little bit more unsafe.
We just need to be aware of kind of I think it's like a gathering storm, and we have such, and as someone who spent almost 20 years in the GWAT, like we all have a lot of exhaustion over this. We don't want to talk about terrorism anymore, but that doesn't mean that they're not still interested in us.
I'll tell you, I definitely feel it's picking up as a technology vendor who makes a gun turret, because the last 5 weeks, our emails from overseas people trying to get 10 of these 28 units has like gone way up. Like something's happening.
That's interesting.
So people didn't buy this shit, and they weren't like a couple months before this. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's my limited data.
Yeah,
I've got a flood of emails from just today from like multiple countries.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's telling.
Something's happening. I guess that would actually make sense. The technology providers would have that kind of. They would know first sometimes.
Yeah.
Because people trying to buy shit.
They're using these like quadcopter cheap drones. So.
Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Okay, we'll look forward for that Substack.
Yeah.
And we'll post all the links and stuff and type it. But it was really awesome that you came on.
Yeah, it was so great to meet you.
Thanks for braving the traffic.